I started playing soccer when I was 3, and it's actually a funny question because my dad still teases me about it today. He was my first soccer coach ever, and it was a co-ed league in our local town, and we were the Orange Crush was the team name, and he says that the Orange Crush was the best team that I've ever played on. He says it to date, and he says we were undefeated, we won the championship, and we were all about this big, and he still talks about it. So that's how I got into it, and no one else in my family's ever really played soccer. My Uncle Mike did, which is my mom's brother, but no one really did. I kind of just fell in love with it from the beginning, and it kind of went from there. I played with boys until I was about 12 or 13, like in the area, like on travel teams with boys, and just that was about it. I played other sports my whole life, all the way up until high school, but soccer was just different for me. One thing that so my dad is a little guy too. He's about 5'6". My little brother, he's really small. Shrams are small people. So he kind of said to me, he goes, you're always going to be the smallest player on the field, but you have to play the biggest. You have to play with the biggest heart. And he said that every time you come off the field, you should be dirty, sweating, and bloody, which was sometimes an exaggeration, but he goes, no one should work harder than you, and no one should be in better shape than you. That's how you're going to compensate for your size. I started my college evaluation process, I guess, my sophomore year. I put together a list of about 25 schools ranging from top Division I programs all the way down to Division II programs. I didn't know where I was. Soccer in Pittsburgh in PA West, it's growing. It's grown a lot since I've come out of there, but you don't really know. So I always thought maybe I'm just a bigger fish in a smaller pond type of scenario, but eventually I started getting feedback from college coaches that I could play at a high level, and it was after, I think it was after Blue Chip, which is a tournament in the spring. It was around May of my sophomore year. I heard that Penn State was interested, so I called, and I'm like, oh, I'll just check it out. It's a few hours from home, maybe that would be cool. I went on my visit in June, and I just met with Erica Walsh on my visit. It was in the summer, everybody else was traveling. I just met with her, and it was almost instant. Like, within probably 10 minutes of stepping on campus and meeting with her, I felt it, and I knew it. And she'll tell you the same thing, that as soon as I stepped on the campus, she knew that I was going to go there. And about 3 months later, I committed to school. My final choices were Penn State and Florida State, and they were playing each other that August at Penn State, and Florida State won about 4-0. And I turned to my mom and I was like, I don't care. I'm going to Penn State, and I knew it, and I committed that August before my junior year, and it's the best decision I've ever made. My college career was interesting. I got moved around positions a lot, which was frustrating at times, but eventually ended up being an asset and a skill set that I figured out was kind of rare. Versatility is a rare skill, especially in the college game, so I learned to appreciate it. And now looking at it from a coaching perspective, I realize how much of an asset it was that I didn't take advantage of completely. But one of the most memorable experiences or moments in my college career, I would say, was my sophomore year. My sophomore year was kind of a breakout year for me, and I was playing forward that year. My tandem partner, Maya Hayes, who's actually one of my best friends, she was one of the leading goal scorers in the country, and I always say it was like, she was like Batman and I was like Robin, so I was kind of her sidekick on the field. And we had a great year, we won the conference, and in the first round of NCAAs, I went up for a challenge in the box with a goalkeeper from Army, and I took 2 fists to the side of the head, and I had a pretty severe concussion. I was out for about 9 months, so that was kind of one of the most pivotal moments in my career. And so I was out from November. I was out of exercise completely until May. I was out of contact until the following July, so it had been about 8 to 9 months. And it was obviously discouraging to be out that long, but especially because I started to feel myself climb, just my game in general. But with every bump comes a greater climb in my mind. So it was really cool. So that July I got called into U20 camp. I had been back for about 2 weeks and back exercising for about 2 months. And I got called into U20 camp because one of their main players got hurt. So they called in about 3 extra players. This was 3 weeks before the event. And I got called in. I was in camp for 16 days. And then on the last day I found out I made it. And I remember I called my mom and I couldn't even speak. I was like, Mom, I made it. And there's tears pouring down my face. And she started screaming, and it was just so much emotion because I had been out so long. I didn't think I was gonna ever play again. And then to have such a high moment. So then camp for 2 weeks. About a week later, I was on a plane to Japan, which is crazy. And Maya was there too. She made the roster, so it was a friendly face. And I was in Japan for about a month and a half. I missed 10 games in my junior year because of the World Cup. But it was worth it. I never came off the bench, but I knew that I was the last man on the roster, but it was one of the greatest experiences of my entire life. We beat Germany in the final, won a gold medal, and the coolest part for me is thinking about some of the faces of women's soccer right now. Julie Johnston, Morgan Bryan, Crystal Dunn. I spent a month and a half in Japan with them, and to be surrounded by people like that is just such an honor, on and off the field. I mean, they're some of the best people that I know, but they're also some of the best players in the world, so it was incredible. Other than my parents, my mom in particular, the other biggest influence in my life, her name's Ann Cook. She's the associate head coach at Penn State, and she kind of took me under as her own from the day I stepped onto campus. And it was especially during this time that she took me under and showed me the value of what coaching is beyond what you move on the pieces that you move on the field. So we established this relationship, and she's literally one of my favorite people in the entire world. And she just showed me how a coach can affect a player in life, not just on the field, and I wanted to do that. To me, she epitomizes the way that a coach should approach a player off the field. She made it very known and apparent to me that she cared about me beyond the jersey that I wore, and that meant so much to me. And then, so her counterpart, her boss, Erica Walsh, is the head coach. Well, Erica Dombach now is the head coach at Penn State, and she is probably one of the most knowledgeable people that I've ever come across about the game. She will sit there and look at a picture for just hours, and she'll be able to move pieces around. She has every second of a training session timed, and just that whole organizational piece and just the way that she views the tactics of the game is incredible to me. She blows me away in that regard. And then the other person that comes to mind is Nikki Izzo-Brown. She is the head coach at West Virginia. She's been there for 20 seasons. This will be her 21st season. I had the privilege of working under her for 2 seasons doing my master's degree. She knows the value of being a woman, and she struggled through it, and she was just so informative in that way for me, and a role model. After speaking with Neil, one of the most intriguing aspect of this job was just the idea that I could help be a part of a rebuild, and I could tap into all these different experiences that I've learned as a player and from all these incredible coaches that have been around me, and actually put it on paper, twist it in with my new ideas, and just start fresh on this blank canvas, obviously under Neil's vision, but I appreciate his vision, and I think that together we could just really create something that just goes up from here. And to be a part of the ground floor was intriguing to me, and that was one of the biggest reasons why I was drawn to the job. I think that one of my biggest assets as a coach is that I can still play. So I think that I can be an inspiration to some of the players if they aspire to play at a higher level, I can show them challenging techniques. I can show them different ways to hit a ball that maybe they're not exposed to on a daily basis. Now it's tangible, it's in front of them. They can say, wow, look, I could learn this, it's right in front of me. I think that my playing background gives me credibility with the girls. I think that they're excited to see someone that played at a high level in front of them that cares so much about their development. I feel like I can relate to a lot of players because I've been on a lot of different teams at different levels, so I've been the top girl on the roster. I've been the bottom. I've been the last man on the roster. I've been kind of in that middle ground fighting for a spot, so I can relate in those types of challenges. If you're on top, how to stay there, how to still find the motivation to get better. If you're at the bottom, how to not get discouraged. Then the injuries come into play. I feel like I've had a variety of experiences that can help some of the players learn from. I think that from a strategic perspective, there'll be a lot of games. I think that we're going to have a sound game plan heading into every game. I think that our girls are going to be fit. I think those are going to be the two most noticeable differences from previous years. But I think that it's funny, this is Neil's line, but he always says, every game that we step into, I'm expecting to win. And I think that just is a testament to the type of confidence that we have in the program and the players that we have. We're going out to win every game, and that's our philosophy right now. Well, we would love to win a championship. That's always the goal, and Neil and I are very competitive, so that's where the bar is. That's what we're always aiming towards. But I think that for me to watch my players enjoy the game that I enjoy is fulfilling. Playing in college is the best years ever, so I want them to look back and feel that, and I want to know that I was a part of that. I think that, well, I'm probably one of the most competitive people that you'll come across. I think a lot of my coaches would vouch for that, but beyond the competition, I just think that soccer is such a creative game. You can interpret it so many different ways, especially on the attacking side, which is my favorite, and you can view something different than somebody else. You can see things before it happens, and that's what I appreciate about the game, is that it's just kind of, it's almost artistic to a point, and I'm not a very artistic person, but in my mind, like in my own way, that's how I fulfill that part of my life. It's just, it allows me to be creative, first as a player, now as a coach, and that's where my passion lies within the sport, I think, is with the creativity of the game. I think that whenever you see one of your players get something that they've been trying to do for so long, whether it's get to the next level on a fitness test or strike the ball the way that they've been practicing it, or they see something in a film session that they're finally, something clicks and you can see the light in their eyes, it just takes me back to those moments that I felt as a player, and that's why I do it. It's just for them to feel fulfilled in what they're doing and to know that they're getting better. There's no greater feeling than that.